Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Lexi Neely, and I am the program coordinator at Little Free Library. Welcome back to Unbound. As always, my colleague Shelby is there in the chat for you if you have any tech questions. She just shared some information for having the best viewing experience for Unbound today, and she'll be keeping an eye out, like I said, if there are any tech questions or anything like that, and dropping some helpful links as we go through today's event. We also have a few special guests today, and if we're chatting and you have questions for them, you can feel free to leave those in the chat as well. And if they're able, they will send you a quick response. And of course, we have the show notes that we share at the end of the event with any relevant links and information that we talked about today. Without further ado, I would like to welcome back Anita Marina, who is Little Free Library's board chair and our moderator for today. Welcome back, Anita.
Hi, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be back. I want to thank you, Lexi, and then also some of our guest moderators, Margaret Bernstein and Kenneth Kunz, for stepping in for me. It's always a pleasure to be back. One of my favorite things to do in the world is moderate and talk to these wonderful guests on Little Free Library Unbound. So thank you. So welcome to Chapter 15 of Little Free Library Unbound. Today we're talking about something that had been really known more widely as book bombing, but as we know in these really horrible times, that's not a term that anybody would want to use. It is about really sharing your love of books by doing what is known as a major drop of books. Those who are unfamiliar, it's an activity where groups or individuals just provide a surprise donation of books to a Little Free Library they either come across or they actually seek out. And there are different phrases that stewards use to describe it, visiting by a book fairy and more. Our next guest, who's wonderful, and he and his wife are known for it, loves to use a phrase, book boon, which is really, really a fun way to think about it. But however you refer to it, this can be a really fun activity for those of you who have excess books or want to just spread their love of wonderful books. So today we have two very special book fairies on who will be talking about their experiences, and later our Little Free Library staffer, Megan Hanson, will share an introduction to the brand new Little Free Library mobile app and answer some questions about it. So you can use the mobile app to make this book sharing very easy. So we'll be sure to show you how to do that as well. So without further ado, here is our wonderful, wonderful first guest. So Dan Wiswell. Dan and his wife Trina are Little Free Library stewards in Tacoma, Washington, longtime stewards. They're also the recipients of the 2021 Todd H. Bull Award for Outstanding Achievement. And he is a prolific book sharer, both he and his wife, and they're often the ones that you most often think of when you think of this wonderful practice. And Dan and Trina actually catalog their adventures on Pinterest and their Facebook page and on the Little Free Library Steward page, Facebook page, and they visited actually 2,723 Little Free Libraries and shared over 19,000 books. So Dan, welcome.
Thank you.
So let's talk first about your why. Why did you and Trina start this wonderful practice?
Well, it started because my library construction was delayed due to my father's sudden passing in September of 16, and it took me 18 months to get through his estate. And we liked the process of buying books and preparing and wanted to be ready. So when we grand opened our library, we had about 600 books, and we don't have anywhere near the foot traffic for 100 books, let alone 600. So we still enjoyed the process of buying books, and we tried we had a geocache in our library, and we tried to go geocaching, and we didn't enjoy it. But especially back in the early days, so 4 years ago, seems like a light year ago, we were told to use the Little Free Library Locator app, and it was horrible. It only had the first 20,000 charters, and it was hit and miss, kind of like geocaching. So it felt like geocaching, but it was more books were better than any books given or books taken were better than any swag you're ever going to get in any geocache hide. And we're doing good for the community by doing that. So it became for us, it's about the library and the surroundings. I've lived in Tacoma my entire life. My wife has too. We're 50 plus years each in Tacoma. Over the last 4 years, we visited 196 zip codes in Washington state alone.
Wow.
And we've seen more of this state and spent time together doing that. So it's about the library and the surroundings, the people we meet, and the shared time, whether it's stewards or non-stewards. We're always open to having conversations while we're out there. Book bombing is a lonely experience in the wintertime because nobody's out working their garden. It's fun in the summertime because everybody's outside and you get to have conversations. It's great.
Yeah.
And then seeing new places too for us is one of the things. And the anomaly that we are relative to most people that do this and are on the stewards page, we're not readers per se. We're not book people at all. We really do judge books by their cover, because if we've taken a lot of people and our friends out with this book bombing, if there's somebody that reads, they want to look through every title. They want to see what they want to put in their TBR pile. You can't do 25 to 30 libraries if you're assessing what your needs are for what book you want to take, as opposed to being able to straighten shelves, add books, take your notes, and be able to move on to the next library. So I think we can achieve the numbers because we don't get lost in the forest for the trees. Like in San Diego, we donated 900 books in 154 libraries, and we took 3 home. That's it.
Wow.
So we don't take books. We have 5,000 books now. We don't need to take books.
So where do you get all the books that you share on your adventures? I mean, this is quite an undertaking.
Yes. Well, I'm going to give you the textbook response that you guys covered in the last Unbound series, which is Trina hustles. She hustles online, whether it's through Buy Nothing, through Facebook, through anything like that nature. We used to go to thrift stores and half-price books and wherever we could find deals, garage sales. But that's the textbook answer. The truth of the matter is, what's happened over the last 3.5 years is we invested into book bombing as a hobby initially. So we bought 90% of the books that we shared in our first year. At our high point from May until September of 2019, we were visiting 100 libraries a month and spending $200 a month on books. Since May of 2019, a couple of things have happened. We've built relationships with other stewards and other people in the community, and now they know who we are by sending handwritten thank yous, by making sure we thank everybody on Buy Nothing, by creating those relationships. People seek us out to donate books now. Random people, hey, we hear you guys take books. They seek us out. And another thing is, by being the prolific book bomber that we're well known, and thanks to Little Free Library Organization for the awards that we receive and the publicity we receive, by recognition, by reputation, people know what we do, where we share books, other stewards. The steward in San Diego, the 900 books, another steward had collected all of those books for us to donate. Wow. They did a book that started in over the summer and had 900 books for us when we came down in November.
Ready.
So
amazing.
It's based on reputation at this point, but it takes work. I mean, again, Trina works very, very hard at building relationships for us to be able to have books.
Well, speaking of Trina, she has chimed in from Mexico. So awesome. our fellow, your partner, Book Angel, and is right there, your fellow. So she says hello to everybody, and we're so proud of you both. It is an amazing feat, but also just a labor of love. Are there strategies that you use about which books you want to use to bring to other people, or is it, again, as you said, people collect and you're passed through a lot of that goodness?
The only strategy that we've carried from day one is we try to go 3-to-1 children's books to adult books.
Okay.
Because most libraries and the challenges that we see that stewards have is curating and having children's books. So we solicit, whenever we solicit to try to get books, we're looking for children's books. If we have to augment, because we do comic books and graphic novels, and we try to have any sort of media that we can. If we have to buy books now, we're buying to fill those needs. We try to carry, one of the things that we've seen over the last probably 6 months is more BIPOC libraries, more BLM libraries. We've seen a DIY library that was specifically, they had an annex that was a DIY library. We see garden libraries. We see, obviously, churches have a lot of libraries. So we try to carry as much kind of the peripheral stuff, so at least we have books to share for the right type of library. Our whole goal is always to make the smallest footprint possible, to straighten shelves, to fill a library about 85 to 95% full. But we want to add to what the steward's already doing. We're not trying to change anything the steward's doing. We want to be able to add what they're doing. So if it's completely a children's library, we just add children's books. A completely adult library, just add adult books. I don't want to step on anybody's toes. We're not trying to. We're just an overzealous patron is all we are. And for the most part, other than one zip code, 98404, we don't revisit libraries at all. For us, the library is the end game. It's not the books. It's I want to see the library. I want to visit new libraries. That's the end game. However, 98404 is the most challenged zip code in my hometown, Tacoma. And they have 30 grant libraries that were installed that, yes, they have stewards, but they don't have books to fill those libraries. So we've canvassed those about every 90 days since they went in October of 2019 and donated 73 boxes of books to 30 libraries in that area.
Wow.
And that's the only zip code that we go to over and over and over again.
Regularly. Yeah. Well, and it's such a gift because, as you say, it's such a challenge for some of these libraries, and in some areas that are more challenged to have even access. I mean, the things that you're doing and so many of the other stewards are doing is really trying to address the issue of book access. And I know these communities are so grateful.
Municipalities and parks departments that put in libraries and also grant libraries, the libraries are given to people when they're put in there. And yes, they have on paper stewards, but it's not the same thing as somebody putting a library in the yard and taking care of it. It's not.
Exactly.
It's tough to create. It's tough to be able to create ownership in those areas. It just is. And that's where we see the most challenges.
Well, and that's true because, these are communities under the most stress. And so they may not have the access to the books. And so having people like you come in. Is there an average number of books that you try to make sure you leave behind as you move through these travels?
Well, I haven't counted books except for one market. Again, in San Diego and LA, Kristen, she counted the books for me, so I knew I had 900 books, and we went through all of them in 154 libraries. The same thing, because our modality has changed. We now fly to different areas, and either the steward collects books for us or we ship books. So the same thing, I ship books to Tennessee. I knew how many I shipped, and I knew how many libraries I did. The one market, because it's our new local, is Portland. I've done 5 samplings of libraries in that market, and we've donated 5.84 books to the libraries that we visited, over 311 libraries in the Vancouver and Portland area.
Wow.
But the thing is that you also have to take into account that, if a library doesn't have a door or it's leaking, we don't leave books. We don't, because books are too hard to come by, and we live in the Pacific Northwest, so they're going to get damaged.
Yeah.
So those libraries, it's still 6 books per library, even counting those.
Yeah.
So I'm comfortable saying, when I say I've donated 19,000 books, I'm okay saying it's 6 per library, along with the 73 boxes of books, because that's what the
My
numbers,
goodness.
they show. I mean, a sampling of almost 500 libraries of 2,700 is significant enough. That's 20%. I mean, that's fairly significant.
That's incredible. And since you are on these various, quests and adventures in very different areas, do you have some favorite stories from your travels? Libraries that really resonated with you, or people, or events or adventures that really just stick in your memory?
Paring down Trina and I's stories, we'd be on this thing for a good 2-3 days easily.
We may have to do a special one for both of you.
So my favorite story, and this is very, very early on, and one of the things that for me, before we became us, and when we first started, there were a few small voices that basically would say, not my library, not my neighborhood. Okay? And when my question always back is, how do we define community? Because we have encountered people, like our biggest source for books, we were book bombing their friends, and they live in Seattle. We were book bombing their friends in Salem, and he happened to be in the yard, and he goes, I have a source up at Green Lake. And Trini goes, we have a source up at Green Lake. Paul and Cindy? And he goes, yeah. So she comes out, she's in a robe, and she starts talking to us, and calls Cindy, and we have a conversation between the 6 of us because of the fact. The one thing that I go back to building relationship is, if a steward's in their driveway, if a steward's out in the lawn, we always have a conversation and let them know what we're doing, and why we do that, and what we've done and stuff. And those relationships lead to books and lead to building relationships outside. But my favorite story, and what kind of made this thing snowball, is I went up to our very, very first trip, kind of book bombing trip, where that was the goal. We went up to Vancouver Island in May of 2019. My sister lives in Victoria. I have a niece in Nanaimo. And we book bombed 76 libraries between Bellingham, about 20 in Bellingham, and Victoria has a wonderful, they only have like 50 libraries that are LFL award libraries, but they have a user map that has over 500 libraries. It's the highest capacity per capita Little Free Libraries in all of Canada is Victoria, and they have a wonderful Google user map of over 500 libraries. But there was a steward on a steward's page that didn't know us from Adam. Didn't. And we weren't known at all. We were probably 250, 300 libraries in at best. We weren't really known at that point. And Tamar Dewey out of Canada went, you guys are coming over for dinner. Okay, great. So we did, and come to find out, she's a retired bus driver, and Trina works in transit, and we connected on so many levels. And it opened again back to what I said again, how do we define community? They're close friends today, and countless stories of stewards that we've shared. There hasn't been a steward that we shared time with where we've traveled to that haven't become friends, that we wouldn't see again in a heartbeat. And we couldn't do what we do without the steward support that we get, period. And stop. That's it. We can't, this is such a wonderful community. But there's people that book bomb that don't want to ever talk to people. There's stewards that don't want to talk to people. Well, you're missing a third of the equation. Relationships and the people you meet is part of the whole process. Really,
well, and it's so true, because that is actually in my many conversations with the late Todd Bowl, when we first started connecting about Little Free Library, for him and for everybody on the staff currently and previously, and all of the stewards, especially those of us who have been fortunate to reach across communities and connect with people. That is such a wonderful part and mission of what we are doing, and why it is really resonating and spreading. So I so appreciate you, Dan. And Trina, in Mexico, enjoy. I'm sure you're going to be looking around and spotting little free libraries as you go. I know that there are some in Mexico. No, not on the cruise. Oh, that's where she's on the cruise.
She was on the cruise, but all of the towns, all the towns that she was going to stop, there was none, because we would have loved to add Mexico to the list.
Well, so that's a good mission, because one of our board, we're actually there's an author, Yuji Morales, who wants to do more for Little Free Library and get books out into there. So that is where we're going to be, hopefully, recruiting more stewards. It's a tough place to get into some of these rural areas, but surely I know that their heart is in sharing more books. So thank you so much, Dan, and Trina, you're with us in spirit, even though you're out there on a cruise. So the next thing I would love to do, we so appreciate you. Dan is not alone. We have Kate, and Kate, correct me if I mispronounce your name, Kate Berwanger. She's what you would call a literary matchmaker, used bookseller at Hey Uncle Kate. It's a wonderful place on Etsy where you can find books and great spirit. So Kate first came on our radar when she started sharing Instagram reels of her book adventures, her book sharing adventures early last year. They're really fun, and we're going to treat you to one of those right now. And Kate will reconnect with you right after this little reel.
Let's talk Little Free Libraries. Once a week or so, I like to make my rounds and drop off some books. You can find a map of charters at littlefreelibrary.org, but most of the libraries I've found organically, or they're just not part of their program. There are over 100,000 libraries in over 100 countries, and there's probably some in your neighborhood. And if not, create your own. Oh, and sadly, some are closed due to COVID. Learn more at littlefreelibrary.org.
Well, that's a nice little reel, and I'm sure there are so many more. It's always fun to see people on their little adventures. I love to look for Little Free Libraries wherever I go as well, and so it just gives you a good feeling whenever you see one. So tell us first, Kate, how you became a used bookseller.
So I actually had a storefront in Seattle at the Georgetown Trailer Park Mall, and I've always been an avid reader and writer. So my shop was all literary themed wares. And so my blind dates started with me wrapping up books that I loved from my own personal collection, and I wanted someone to stumble upon them. So Love Me Back by Merritt Tierce was my firstborn blind date. So yeah, the idea was really well received, and then that ended up being my bread and butter. No one cared about any of the stickers I made or designed or anything, and everyone just wanted these blind date books. So that's what I do now.
I always love the idea of a blind date with a book. So that's always very special. And what prompted you to get started in this book sharing, book dropping, book boon, as Dan would call it, business?
I just have an excess of books. So if I have multiple copies of a title, I'll put it in my drop pile. I think I have at least 30 in my drop pile right now. But since all of the books that I sell are all written by women, I end up putting a lot of the dudes in the Little Free Libraries. But I do try to focus on the books that I drop off being predominantly women writers, queer authors, and writers of color. Because I haven't read a book written by, no offense, Dan, written by a man in 7 years. I just refuse to do it. So yeah, it's really important to me to make sure I'm stocking, women and queer writers.
Oh, thank you. That's so wonderful. I love that whole idea of amplifying voices, because very often as we begin to peek into moments in history, there's always seems to be a woman or someone of a different gender in and around the discoveries and historical moments. So I appreciate you doing that. Are there an average number of books that you leave at a time when you get out and about? I see you're on your bike, so it's...
Yeah.
it's not a cart full. No, not always.
Yeah, I mean, between 2 and 5, it's one of those things like I don't want to bogart the space because as we know, they're pretty small. So
Yeah.
between 2 and 5, just because I don't want to haul a library on my back. But if I'm not on my bike, I have my dog in tow and I got to watch my weight limit. So yeah, but like 2 to 5-ish.
So apparently you've moved recently. So have you, and where have you moved to? Have you had a chance to check out Little Free Libraries in your neighborhood?
Oh yeah. So I was in Cincinnati, and then I moved in with my girlfriend to Louisville. And there's 3 around, like just within a couple blocks of me. And I think that's one of the exciting things, right, about moving to a new place is, and it's funny, Dan had mentioned geocaching because that's something I did when I first moved out to Seattle. It's like there's no better way to really kind of like get your fingers in the dirt, so to speak, of like your new place, just to like go find treasures and book treasures and all of that. So yeah, there's at least 3 that I've seen just within 2 blocks, which is very exciting. So
yeah, and I've just moved all the way across country from Maryland to Washington State up in Bellingham. So I'm really looking forward to, discovering all the Little Free Libraries up and down the area from here to up to Canada and down to Seattle and beyond as we travel. So that's really, really exciting.
And that's why I'm so excited about the app. Like,
yes,
I'm super stoked for that.
Yeah, I'm very excited. So Megan's going to fill us in because I can't wait to really play around in that app universe. And I think, again, like Dan said, it's about community connections as well. So, we'll be able to find one another and share books or ask for books or find libraries that need just a little bit of extra love and care. So I think that's what's so special. As you know, and as everybody knows, used books are often and obviously the bread and butter of keeping Little Free Libraries stocked. So do you have any tips for our wonderful stewards out there for finding great books at low prices and also finding, and also not just stores, but unexpected little places where you might find a treasure trove of books?
Okay, so I had to start writing these down. I think Dan had mentioned too, like the Facebook Buy Nothing groups are always rad. I just say ask friends and family too. I actually have 3 or 4 friends that'll mail me a box of books a month, just because they're done and they know I can turn them into hot dates. And then thrift shops as well. Especially post holidays, you know how people buy books for someone that doesn't read and then they just dump off brand new books, and then depending on where you are or if it's a tag, color tag, whatever sale, I will get brand new books not even open for a quarter at some of these places.
Wow.
So it's just that's something you can ask Facebook people, hey, does anyone know where all the hot sales are this weekend? And then while I was in Seattle, I always found boxes of books on the street corners. There was always stuff there. But I really do think it's one of those things that I do believe if you are looking for something, you will find it. So I feel my eyes are always on the lookout for the Little Free Libraries to drop stuff off, or I was joking with my mom about this. I don't think I'll ever grow out of driving by a free pile and not be able to stop myself from flipping through it.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, those are basically... go ahead.
Friends of the library, the public libraries often have this wonderful. Somebody told me once also post offices, very often when books are returned or something, and I don't know the details around that, but sometimes they may have some opportunities for finding books. This is when I was with Read Across America, so I don't know. But I also wanted to, before I say anything else, we've got a message from a steward. Kate, I'm in Louisville, their United Way sponsors 41 libraries throughout the west of Louisville. So she'd love to connect with you. So Shelby will get you connected. And
Awesome.
as you know, this is a great and bountiful universe of both goodwill and good books out there. So that's really, really exciting.
Awesome. I love it.
Yeah. So let me see if I have any other questions. So actually, let's do one final question, and then we actually will move on to a few other things. I would love to hear, what are the books you're reading? What's moving you today as a reader, since you're a great lover and a great reader of books? What's fun?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I've been in a reading rut for quite some time now, and the only thing that will dig me out of a reading rut is like young adult. I love young adult novels because they're usually quick, easy to digest, that sort of thing. And I don't even know where it is. The Good Girls, I think that's the name of it. I forget. I'm like, man, I'm not prepared for this question.
I'm sorry.
All
right. Maybe you can drop it in the chat, but think about what.
Yeah, I'll leave my current read in the chat.
It's always fun to know what people's current reads are. I just read, and I know the name escapes me, but it's Kazuo Ishiguro's new book about, it's like it's an AI being who's discovered in a store latched onto a child, but it's such a fascinating book. So it's always, there it is, Kiara and the Sun. Thank you, J.L. Fleming. Yay, thank you, Stuart. I knew that somebody
keeps coming up. Like, okay.
It's fabulous. It's so much more about, the discovery of emotion and connection. So I loved it. I loved it. So it's a lot of fun. So thank you. That's what Shelby was going to say is, we can follow you on Instagram, right? And we can just see your adventures. Look for, you're still on Etsy too, right? So we can find you on Etsy. Is that right, Kate?
Yeah. My handle for everything is Hey Uncle Kate. I make the joke like, hey, I'm your uncle now. But yeah, on Etsy and Instagram, I think is where I spend most of my time. And then it looks like Shelby just linked. So.
Oh, good. And the last thing is just if they're, I was going to ask you a favorite story, but there it is, Clara and the Sun. Again, everybody knows it's book. And I want to give enough time, but as we talk to you later and in the future, think about that favorite book, think about a favorite story, a favorite library that you visited in your travels. And do we have more time, Shelby? Because I just wanted to ask if Kate had a favorite library that she has visited in her travels. Oh, we do. Okay, good. So what have you discovered that you said, okay, this one, if you're anywhere in this town or wherever I've been, seek out this library. It's kind of cool because I love those stories.
Well, see, I feel like, man, Anita, you're really putting me on the spot here. I think I remember like writing Lexi. I was like, I have like super severe anxiety. Please tell me the questions beforehand. No, it's like, it's fine. But it's just like, I get in my head and I'm like, what's a book? I don't know. I don't read. Well, it's there. I guess I would say rather like, I haven't had the chance to really dig into one to where I'm like, holy moly, this is the holy grail of book libraries. But I honestly just like following the Instagram page and just seeing how creative some of these things are that people are creating. It's just like wild to me.
Yeah.
And it really inspires me because I want to have my own library and I will at some point. But yeah, I don't have an answer for you either. Just stay tuned. Maybe I'll put it on Instagram.
We'll see you on Instagram. Just say, well, you know what, that question, here's the answer, and we'll follow you. We'll find you on Instagram. So thanks so much, Kate. I hope you can recover from those impromptu questions. But
it might take a couple days, but I got it.
Okay. All right, great. Well, we're so appreciative of Kate and Dan and Trina from afar. We've got some great tips and tricks, and now it is a wonderful moment for us to share something with you. And Megan, you can take it away. This is about the Little Free Library mobile app. So thank you, everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, there I am. Okay, I was like, no tech problem. So I'm super excited. I'm Megan. I've probably emailed with everybody here. I've been at the organization for like 10 years, which means I've sent like 10 million emails. But one of the projects I was really excited to work on was our Little Free Library mobile app. I hope everybody already has it. If you don't, go to littlefreelibrary.org/app and you can download it. It's free for iOS and Android. Shelby, maybe you can drop that link in the chat there. So this is just a really exciting and super fun new feature, and I think it's a game changer both for stewards and people who just visit Little Free Libraries. It makes it super easy to find and share books in Little Free Libraries near you. And as you might note on this graphic here, we are offering a $500 gift card to our online store to one lucky winner who gets the app and creates an account, and that's running through May 1. So if you needed a little extra incentive, keep that in mind. But because today's theme is book bombing, I created a little 2-minute video for everybody to watch, kind of highlighting some of my favorite features in the app that I think would be really helpful for anyone who wants to try book dropping or book bombing or book fairy visits, however you like to talk about it. As I see Dan in the comments here, Dan is one of our most prolific app users. He has certainly used it to get to even more libraries. So I will let Lexi take it away with the little video so you guys can get a peek at the app.
Megan has been dreaming of making the Little Free Library app a reality for as long as I've been with the organization, and surely long before that. So the last year and a half of development and all the hard work that has gone into it is a testament to Megan's big dreams and hard work. And we are so excited to share it with you. We've just been waiting to get it right and do a lot of testing with folks like Dan, who we knew would get a lot of use out of it. So congratulations are in order for Megan. We are very, very proud and very excited to share this with you. So Megan, unless there's anything else you want to add, we can go to the chat and see if there are any questions.
Yeah, absolutely. Be happy to answer questions people have about what it can do.
I'm seeing a lot of people love it, which is really great. One question we did get is that the app doesn't let me know of LFLs in need of help. So that's a great question that addresses, I think, some of our future dreams for the app. So maybe that's a good starting point.
Yeah, Shelby, Lexi, I'm going to quick share my screen here. Do you mind if we give this a shot?
Yeah,
So I have this like fancy piece of software that should let me show you what's on my phone. So hopefully we can like do a little live demo here. So I totally agree. One of the most valuable things that I think we could have would be if you could specifically find little free libraries that need books and be able to share books in those. So we actually do have something to some degree built in. I think it's just that because the app is so new, stewards don't really know how to use it. So if you're a steward, if you don't know what indicators are, I'm going to quick show it to you so you can see some of my dummy libraries here. So your indicators down here are kind of like visual cues you can put on your library's profile, and you can see one is need books. So if you flag that, I'm just going to hit save there. We're seeing how slow my Wi-Fi is at my house here. And then I'm going to actually, I think you can see it with my cursor here too. I'm going to go view this library, and you can see here in this little indicator section, here there's this new visual cue that says need books. And when you're doing a search, you can actually filter by this. I think most people don't know this. So I'm going to go back to the screen here. By the way, here's a little glitch we're working on. This message should be able to be minimized. Right now, it can't be. We should have that fixed yet this week in case anybody was wondering about that. So I'm going to go up.
Just a really nice shout out to our developers.
It really is, and they're great. So it could have been worse. So notice that when you're searching, you have all these different options, but these indicators are also search filters. So not many people are using their indicators yet, but I could search by need books within 5 miles of me. And if there were any libraries that had that indicator up, it would appear in these search results. So for this yet, but that is one way the app can kind of do what you're looking for.
Awesome, thank you. Someone asked, what is an impact library? Which is a really good question. Not app specific, but it does relate to kind of our future plans for the app. So really quickly, our impact library program is our grant making program. So we review applications, and every month we give away little free library book boxes and posts to individuals in communities where book access is very low. And Shelby just shared a link to our program landing page so you can learn more there. It's a really lovely program, really wonderful to be able to make those gifts. So Megan, would you like to share a little bit about how someone might find an impact library to support in the future?
Yeah, so as she said, this is definitely a feature we need to build out a little bit more. Basically, the back-end process is something we as staff need to figure out, but the good news is we did build in an indicator for impact library. So like here on the search filter screen, you can see you could select an impact library, and I'm going to do that. Now, if you're a steward, you cannot manually set this indicator to yourself. And it's mainly because a lot of people don't know what impact libraries are, and we don't want someone getting confused and saying, I have an impact library when they actually don't, and then it can kind of mess with search results. So that's the part of the process we don't have built out super well, is on the back end, how we as staff can like really quickly get these indicators assigned to the right libraries. Right now it's kind of manual. But I think within like the next month or so, we'll be in a much better place with that process. But it is already built in on the front end that you could go on these search filters and filter by an impact library. And obviously you can mess with your distance range here, or you could search like, I want to see impact libraries in Minneapolis. That's how you would do this kind of search. And then find them, which is really nice because impact libraries tend to be in high need areas. So if you're like, hey, I really want to give books where I think it's going to have a big impact, that's totally a way you could do that. And we actually got a result, which I think, Shelby, is this yours? I think this is Shelby's little free library, and I maybe set this up as part of testing, but we got a result, so that's exciting.
Awesome, thank you. Shelby also mentioned in the chat that we are planning to add indicators so you can search for reading color libraries. And these will come in super handy when you are sharing books or book bombing. You can find the libraries in the greatest need of books and support in your community or when you're traveling. So that functionality will be really exciting to add in the future. Let's see if we've got any more questions. There are a couple of questions. Could you explain some of the other filters such as mobile library and sharing box?
Sure, absolutely. So if I get back into the search filters here, and also if you're never sure what these indicators are, click on this little eye and notice it pulls up and explains what they are. So we can pull right from like a sharing box. The idea is that it's a little free library that also offers other things like food, household items, school supplies, plants. I mean, there can be all sorts of fun things on there. So that's a nice way to get an idea if you want to visit a library that maybe has some fun extras. And then a mobile library, this is really, I actually think this is one of the really cool perks of the app we don't talk about a lot, is if you do have a mobile library, you should set an indicator to so that people can search and filter to find libraries that move around. And if you have a mobile library like before, it would be such a pain in the butt because your library has a different location like every day, right? So now, rather than having to resubmit a form over and over again to change its location, you can just log into your account and you can update your library's address or GPS coordinates every time it moves. So I think that makes it really fun because people can actually follow around with your mobile or traveling library wherever it goes.
Thanks, that's super helpful. Again, these are the kind of functionalities that I think will help really bring to light all the different types of little free libraries there are, like the impact program, reading color, mobile libraries, sharing boxes. It gives us a little bit more flexibility to share just all the cool stuff that everyone is doing. Let's see. Someone asked, can I indicate that a little free library needs books in the app? And the answer to that is no. I think the goal is for stewards to self-identify their needs. If a library is empty, it could just be that the steward is on vacation and they need to come home and refill it or something like that. So I think unless there's something else to that functionality, Megan, I think self-identifying kind of your needs for your community is really what the app does. It really puts the steward in the driver's seat, which is great. And you don't have to wait for us to approve a mapping request to update your information.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. You said that perfectly.
Awesome. And I think there actually was a question about the screen you're looking at right now, which is that if you just search by location, a bunch of numbers pop up. So what does that mean and how do I use it to find a library?
So we did this because there are some areas like Minneapolis that are really dense with tons of little free libraries. So from a user experience standpoint, we thought it would be better to basically cluster them. So that's what you're seeing are basically clusters. Is oh, if you zoom in on this area, there are 20 plus libraries over here. If we didn't do clusters, you would basically just see like a dense mass of pins and it would be really hard to kind of understand where you were looking. So it's meant to make it a little easier in dense areas to kind of get a sense of, oh, are there a lot of little free libraries in kind of one part of town? And then if you want to know, if you zoom in, you can see that the pins break out. And if you keep zooming all the way in, you'll ultimately get them all. They'll all break out into individual ones. You zoom back out and you just see these numbers. I know that's a little weird the first time you see it, but the idea is to make it a bit easier to use.
Awesome, thank you. Someone asked, as a steward, do I already have an account and password or do I need to make one?
Great question, because it does seem like you should already have one, right? But you actually do not. So even if you're an existing steward and you already have your little free library on our web map, you do still want to go in and the first time you go into the app, you want to create a new account. And the key here to be able so that your library or libraries show up in your account is to use the same email address that you used when you originally put your library on our map. You want to use that same email address as your username when you create your account. And if you're not sure what that is, you can always just contact us at the littlefreelibrary.org/app. There's a link on that page to a dedicated contact us form. You can always just drop us a line and be like, hey, I don't know what email I should use, and we can look it up in our database and tell you. But when you set up an account with that email, you should automatically see your library in the My Library section of the app, kind of like this. And then you'll be able to just go right into it and edit all of its details. So you can see there's a lot of stuff you can do in here. The edit library info screen is a super helpful one. That's where you can like swap out photos. I think it allows up to 10 and lets you set a lot of things, you know, address, social media link, story, all that fun stuff. You can just go wild with it.
Awesome. That's a good segue to the next question, which is about leaving a comment for a steward when you visit their library. Do you want to show us the guest book?
Oh yeah, I love the guest book. This actually came out of some of our early kind of user groups and like trying to get feedback from like what stewards in the LFL community wanted in an app. And the guest book was something we were not going to do, but so many people were interested, we just went ahead and did it. So you will not see a guest book available on all libraries, and that's because the steward has to enable it, right? Some people don't want to manage this kind of thing, and we respect that. So we're looking at my dummy one here, and I do have the guest book enabled. So this is exactly what you would do. You would go down here and you can add any kind of entry, you know, something like, oh, let's just say, this is what we want to say, post your comment. And comments do need to be approved by the steward. So you'll see it's a little hard to tell here, but this is in like light gray text. The idea is that this has not been approved yet. And when you submit a comment, the steward will get a push notification saying, hey, there's a new comment in your guest book. By the way, you as a steward can control those push notifications in your profile if you want to get them or if you don't. And then once the steward approves it, it will be visible and everybody will be able to see it. What you see delete over here, that's for you as a user. If you write something and then regret it or something, you can just delete it and submit something new.
Someone asked, how is the guest book different than check-ins?
Ooh, good question. So the guest book is really about communicating with the steward and maybe leaving a message publicly that you want other people to be able to see, and you definitely want the steward to be able to see. Checking in is basically a way of tracking that you visited this library and leaving personal notes for yourself. So if you check in here, anything you put in this note, or like whether you took a book or left a book, you are the only one who's ever going to be able to see that. So we'll just put like a test note in here. I'm going to hit check in. Ooh, it tells me I checked in. And then you can see all of your check-ins. I'm going to go down to my account on the bottom, and then in your my account section, you can see you have my check-ins. And here you will have a running, once it ever loads. There you go. You'll have a running list of the notes you left for yourself and all the libraries you checked into, the date you were there, that kind of thing. And you can, by the way, you can go back and edit your check-ins, like the notes you left for yourself. That actually, thank you, Dan Wiswell. That was one of his features he asked for, and many people asked for as well. So I think that explained it, yeah?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. How about reporting if I am coming across a library and it's in rough condition and needs some love?
Yes. This was actually a feature I was really excited about because I think it's a big task for us to try to better maintain the Little Free Library like network, because we all know that there was some libraries out there that were put up 10 years ago and nobody knows what happened. Nobody knows who even started it. And there's really, until now, been no convenient way to like tell us, hey, this happened. So if you find a library and you're either like, oh, it's not here anymore, or hey, you know, the door is hanging off this thing and somebody should know about that. What you would do is you would pull up this library detail view, and then you would go to report an issue. And then you would pick one, either that the library is missing or that the library is damaged. You can't do both, one or the other. You can notice you can toggle this on to share your contact information. So that sends over your name and email address. So often, especially if it's damaged, you might be like, hey, I'll help you repair this. And it's nice to be able to share your contact information. So you'll add whatever comments you want here, you know, let's just say library needs a new door, right? And then if you hit report, I'm going to go back and delete this. what will happen is an email notification will go to the steward of this library telling them that there's been a reported issue. And then we, as Little Free Library staff, will also be aware of it. And then we have an internal process and timeline by which if reported issues are not resolved within a certain period of time, then we will do our best to alert the steward and ultimately may temporarily remove the location from the map until we can sort out what's going on with it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mhm.
I think that is all the time we have for questions today. But this has been super helpful. I'm glad we got to answer some questions and have a live demo. As I said, we're all really, really excited about the app and all the work Megan has put into it. If you have issues with the app, there are bugs to report, you want to make suggestions, or have us answer some questions, Shelby has just left a link in the chat. We want to hear what you think. We want to know how to improve it. And remember, this is just the first version and we are dreaming big for all the future versions. So different and new and exciting functionality is on the way, but we've got to get lots of people using it. So if you haven't already, download the app. Let us know your thoughts. Get your friends and family and neighbors using it so we can get lots of folks trying it out and letting us know what you think. Thank you so much again, Megan. I really appreciate it.
So happy to demo it. I hope everyone loves it, enjoys using it. And yeah, please don't hesitate to contact us.
Great. Thank you so much to everyone for joining us today. Thank you, Dan, Kate, and Anita, and all of you for joining us. This was such a blast. It always is. As always, attendees will receive an email in the next couple of days with a link to the replay and the show notes. And you can sign up for a chance to win a literary matchmaking session with Kate and a package of books created just for you from her shop. So you'll get the chance to chat some more with Kate and learn about what she does, tell her a little bit about the kind of books you're interested in. And that's a really exciting and fun giveaway. I didn't even know that that was a thing, but we were talking about it when we were planning the giveaway, and she was like, oh yeah, we can do that. So really excited to see how that works out and excited to share that gift with the winner of the giveaway. You can register for next month's episode of Unbound at the link in the chat. And if you haven't already, we encourage you to follow Little Free Library on our social media channels and sign up for our e-newsletter. You will learn all about app updates, upcoming episodes of Little Free Library Unbound, different things about our programs like the Impact Library Program and Reading Color, and all kinds of fun Little Free Library news. Thank you so much again for joining us, and we will see you next time.